welcome back. We have a naked man problem to deal with.
As is so often the case.
As is so often the case, the naked man problem. Okay, so Rooster, you've rousted the lieutenant from bed, from the pile of like furs and silk that he was laying in with his lady friend, and you've dragged him out into the main room where the table is, and he's at your essentially at your mercy. What are you gonna do?
I'm going to beat him up to prove a point.
Okay, all right. So your intent is to prove what exactly?
So all these guys have been acting as if they are kind of their own, like they don't have to answer to anyone else, I guess.
Sure.
And the lieutenant especially has been getting on Rooster's nerves as this person who just like isn't respecting him. And so I'm kind of hoping to change all of that. And just like show them that there are consequences when they act like jerks.
Okay. So your intent here is to just to prove that. Are you trying to prove that you're in charge, or that somebody is, or just are you just being like, when you act like a dick, bad stuff happens to you?
I think it's kind of about my own personal pride. Like it's kind of like you can't mess around with me. Like,
okay, so really, what happens is if you succeed, they're gonna know not to fuck with the Rooster.
Yeah, I think that's really.
Or they're gonna know not to do things that piss you off. So they'll have to figure out what those are first. But they'll know that if they do them, it will be bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I got you. Okay. So, Basil, you see this happen.
Yep.
You didn't have to make the steel test. You can do a thing. Is there a thing you'd like to do?
Right. Well, I step out of the way so that the Rooster can throw him out in front of everybody else. And then I stand with my arms crossed behind him while he beats the living daylights out. And I would like that to count as an advantage die.
Oh, yeah, well, that's you helping. Totally.
Yeah.
It's not even an advantage. So you're helping.
Yeah, what are you helping with?
Yeah.
Oh, good call. Good question.
You get to mark a test for that.
Yeah.
Right, I do. Do I have a thing that this is? I might not. That means I might have to think of something else.
We're both just standing there like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What happens?
Hmm.
And
I
if I
don't know
fail to
if I-
roll, it turns into that scene from The Big Lebowski where I'm like smashing the wrong car.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that I have a thing already
Where's
that
the
I
money, Lieutenant?
can help with here. Let's see. Not without lecturing while he does it, which is
I mean, you could. You could speechify.
okay.
I mean, you split the role, right? He's the one hitting the car with the golf club, and you're the one
Right.
being like, "Do you see
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens?"
This
Yeah,
is what
that's-
happens,
The
Larry.
thing here, the speech is. I'm trying to see if I have it in me to come up with a bullshit speech, or if I could just give you the intention.
So, I'll give you a second to come up with
I
because
got
somebody.
it. I got it. I
Austin,
got
it's
it.
important that you role play these moments.
Yeah, it is important. You're right. This is like how much punching is this? Is this a lot of like hitting him? We
Oh
should
yeah,
learn-
like
somebody,
maybe he tries to get up and I like claw him back to the
Yeah.
ground and continue beating on him. Like it's very protracted.
somebody in chat says DMX blasts in the background while everyone just nods their head.
Yep.
You think
Yep.
this is a game?
Yeah.
Oh man.
oh my god.
Okay. So as Rooster, I think, is beating the shit out of, or is attempting to. We haven't seen what this role is yet. I guess the intention is about convincing him. Not.
Yeah,
it's
it-
not
yeah,
about.
It's
No one
not a
gets-
question about whether or not you beat the shit out of him.
Right. Right.
It's
Exactly.
The impact thereof.
So like I try to speak in the cadence of Rooster's hits, or maybe like in between the cadence.
Mhm.
You know, where like it's like jazz, right? It's not the notes you're not playing.
There's the like meat packing sound.
Right, exactly. And it's like we've all worked very hard to get to where we are now. I of course believe that those of you who have given their blood, sweat, and tears to this revolution deserve to have the good things in life.
Now he's just like,
Yeah.
Switch hands.
Oh boy.
But those things cannot come at the cost of the basic necessities of those we fought to protect, etc.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and then like
full on, you can help with oratory.
this is then the thing. The big point here is like the big closer is just like, I don't care if you think you report to me, or if you think you report to the lieutenant, or if you think you report to Rooster. At the end of the day, you report to the people on that hill.
Awesome.
Austin Walker for president. What is my option?
Only if you're there to beat up people next to me. This is also, P.S. This is literally the opposite of like the Key and Peele Obama anger translator speak. Like, this is just like I literally have all of my anger on full display in front of me, and I like eke out some message from that violence.
Oh, it's so good. That was brilliant.
Oh,
Please roll well, Rooster.
You're good at role-playing games, Austin.
I'm rolling 8 dice, so.
Oh damn! This is
Alright,
where all
this is
your
good.
dice are.
So he's
I was
gonna
wondering.
oppose with his will, and he'll get help from the soldiers that are with him. So I'm gonna roll 6 dice against you.
Well.
So, because he's got a bunch of dudes around here.
And I'm just setting my obstacle as 1 because it's an opposed.
Yeah, it'll be opposed.
Great.
Okay, modifier 3. Oh, how do we do? Ooh, we're tied.
It's a tie. I have a 6.
You do.
So I'm going to re-roll it.
Okay.
Who do ties go to? Ties go to defender.
The
or
defender, yeah.
Okay.
So in this case, the defender, you don't get the thing you wanted, or you don't get exactly the way you expected to. So, I think that the first few hits are the like wet like meat sound, and then there's a sound that's like a lot more of like a crunch than a thunk. And how are you? So how are you hurting this dude? Is it just your fists, or are you like kicking him, or?
Like knees and elbows get involved, and there's like, yeah.
Okay, I think at one point, yeah, you like he's down and he's like trying to cover his head, and you drop an elbow, and his arms aren't where you thought they were, so you don't hit him in the arms, and you feel your elbow hit his skull, but it gives maybe a little more than you expected, so there's just this like,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then just like quiet after that.
And Rooster kind of like hefts himself up off of the body.
Okay, yeah, there's like blood all over your arm.
Yeah.
Whew.
And like shakes a little bit of it off of his hand.
So in the moment, like as you're standing, the woman that was in the room has like come up behind like Basil, because there's like kerfuffle. She's got the like fur wrapped around her, and she sees what happens. Like she sees you elbow him and all the blood, and she screams. And when she does that kind of like shocks the other soldiers out of their like stunned reverie, and they all get up. And one of them says, someone in the room says, he killed the lieutenant. And then there's the sound of steel being drawn.
Woo!
Yeah. So Agnes, you're a bystander to the situation, but you see, you see these like everybody's like people have gotten up and are starting to like draw weapons, and the guy with the funny hat has dropped it on the floor and is like midway through drawing his like arming sword.
I thought you meant he dropped his sword. I was like, no
No.
sword, funny hat. That's a bad look, homie.
I step on his hat and punch him in the face.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess that's the question. What like you're not gonna try to de-escalate the violence. Does it turn into like a thing? Like the soldiers'
That's not
intent
my
here
thing.
is to like get the rooster, like get that guy. But you have a second. Like, do you want to try to seize control of the moment, or do you like have some other plan in mind?
I just see him looking at me with the sword in his hand. So I want to hit him.
Okay. What's your intent? Do you want to just like knock him out? Do you want to like what do you
Yeah,
want? What do you want from
disarm.
hitting him?
Disarm.
Yeah. Okay.
Knock him to the ground.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
boy.
Well, let's see how that goes. So you roll your boxing, I assume.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Sorry, 1 second.
Okay. So you roll your boxing. He's gonna roll. Yeah, he's gonna roll his sword. He wants to fight you. So originally he was gonna get Rooster, but now there's this like, oh, you're on his side. Okay. So he's gonna fight you. Yeah, not all the soldiers are here, so it's not gonna be like
Yeah. Okay,
12
so
and 3. Do you have anything that you want to fork?
I don't think so. I don't think anything else makes sense. Everything else is like cooking.
Okay. All right. I'll give you an advantage die for the surprise because he didn't expect you to attack him. He thought Rooster was the only threat.
Okay.
And he's gonna roll his sword against you, and he's all alone. So. Okay.
Op?
Just put it as ob 1. The actual ob will be whatever he gets in successes.
Oh, okay. Should I go?
Yeah, do it. Okay, it's a tie.
Okay.
So,
No.
if you have a trait that you can use, like if you have a call-on trait that can break ties for you, for boxing, I don't think you have a boxing, like, call-on trait.
I don't think so.
So in the case
I
of
don't
a
know where that
tie, in the case of the tie, he's the defender, so he'll win. I
Right.
don't think that you have any call-on traits for boxing. You have, where are your traits at? They're on the first page. Yeah, you don't have any call-ons at all. You just have broken in.
All right.
Okay.
Oh,
So
boy.
what happens? Black eye. Situation.
Yeah, I think like his intent here is not to kill you, but just to get you the fuck out of the way so he can go kill Rooster. So he goes to draw his sword. You turn, start to take a swing at him, and he I think he gets out of the way and he draws the sword. But instead of like cutting you with it, he just slams you with the hilt of the sword, like hits you in the face with it. So you're gonna take a take a wound, but the hilt of a weapon is not too bad. Let's see what his power is. I think these guys, their stats are all pretty much 2 or 3. Yeah. Okay. So you take a B2 wound.
Okay, where do I put that?
So on combat, for you, it's nothing. It's like it just stuns you for a second. The wound isn't lasting. Like the effect is there, but you don't bother marking it. Basically, if I tell you anything lower than B4, just be like, fuck off, Adam. That's not a wound. Because you're like the toughest person in the group too. So yeah. So he draws the sword, bats you in the face with the hilt as he draws it. You stumble back. Maybe you get like blurred vision or something. But you don't have to make a steel test. You don't have to whatever. But you don't get what you want, which is to stop him from rushing at the Rooster. Him and several other soldiers. Basil, what are you doing?
Good question. How many of them are there? Just like, is a handful? Is it like 5? Is it like? I know you said it's not all a dozen of them.
Yeah,
like...
it's not all of them. So there's the lieutenant who died. Let's say there's like 4 soldiers.
Okay. And then a number of like townspeople too. You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say there's like a half dozen, like mostly like teenage boys or women.
Of course. Yeah. Okay.
Is everyone getting involved, or is it just the 4 soldiers?
The villagers don't. Yeah, they don't. This is not a fight they're interested in being a part of.
All right. I think I have to draw my sword here, and especially after Agnes throws that punch. Yeah, I'm going to attack the whoever the one closest to Rooster is. Like, I'm gonna move in between Rooster and them. Okay, I'm gonna move in between Rooster and them, and my intention is to my immediate attention is to keep them from hitting Rooster. My long-term intention, this will have to come out after a couple of rolls probably. We'll have to come back to this at some point.
Okay.
Is to make the situation such that that at least one of these 4 dudes doesn't have to get killed here. Like, I want to de-escalate by making the situations clearly favor us, which might mean killing 1 or 2 of these guys.
Sure.
But for now, it's hurting anyone who tries to get near Rooster.
Okay, so you wanna try and like watch Rooster's back, so he
No,
doesn't
I'm
get...
like, it's not watching his back. It's literally stepping in front of him with my blade out, and like, if whoever's coming at him at this point, I'm attacking.
Okay, so the guy that just hit Agnes in the face.
Yes, hat guy.
I need to double check. Yeah, fucking hat guy. I need to double check your wound tolerances, Agnes, because I don't see superficial on here. So we got to do some slight weird math. Do me a favor.
Okay.
Half of your fort rounded down.
Fort.
2, yeah. It's the middle column, yeah. It's,
Oh,
so your
okay.
fort 4, so half of that, which is 2, rounded down, plus 1. Okay, so nothing changes, but I need to just hijack your character sheet from you for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
There you go. Okay, so B3 is a superficial wound for you. So he did B2, so it's still nothing. But you have superficial wounds that you can take at B3. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Cool.
So that puts... There we go. Okay. Your character sheet is now fixed.
Nice.
But doesn't affect the results of that attack. So, okay. So you're gonna, Basil, you want to step in the way of the guy who's like coming to stab. So it's not just one guy. Like basically, the soldiers all draw weapons and they're like, "You killed our lieutenant. Now we get to kill you."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, my action here is to like. It's basically de-escalation by violence, by way of like, you know, if there are 4 of us.
Yeah, I don't think you can de-escalate. I think you have to win this fight.
Okay.
That would be the de-escalation.
But the conditions of winning here, for me, my goal is to get it to where there can. Oh yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy. That's my immediate goal. Is I'm gonna stab this guy. I'm stabbing hat guy for sure.
Okay, so you want to win fight.
I would like to win fight with him. My long-term goal is to like get the fight to the point at which I can then try to, like, say like, throw down your swords and you can live. But we're not there yet. So right now I need to kill this guy.
Okay, sure.
Or at least I need to wound him at least.
Okay. So I guess what I want to know is, like, Rooster, what are you doing? Like, is this one role you're both contributing to, or do you have different goals for this situation?
No, I'll help. I'll help Basil.
All right, Basil, you're gonna roll swords.
Sounds good.
I'll help with sword.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, swords.
Yeah, I'm just like sword and board for this fight. I think seems the appropriate choice.
So one from Brewster, and I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else here, which is fine. Which is fine. What's the is it okay? There we go.
Okay, your ob is 2.
Okay.
And if you don't win, it means you don't de-escalate the fight, and
right.
You and Rooster look to potentially suffer being hurt.
Sounds good.
And the battle escalating from here.
Sounds good. Good.
Well, you know, I agree to these terms.
Okay.
Hold on to this persona point. Should I?
You can always spend it later.
Can you spend persona after a roll, or can you?
It depends. It depends on what you're spending it on.
Okay. Let me look that up again really quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I opened right to the page. I'm
Holy
getting
shit.
Okay, so a boon would be beforehand. I'm definitely not focusing. I'm gonna hold on to it because it can help me shrug off a wound penalty, which we might get to.
Okay.
Hey, okay, I gotta.
It's tied. You got 2 successes,
I got
2
2
sixes.
sixes.
Though. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend that fate.
Okay.
1 fate left. Whew. Okay.
All right. Okay. So 3 of them rush the rooster. 2 of you, the 2 of you, just describe how that fight goes. And your intent here was to keep, like, kill one of them, but
Yeah, I think Hat Guy gets a blade. How much better looking cinematically does this want to look?
I mean, have we seen Basil fight before? Rooster's fighting
Yes.
is just brutal and like gross.
What we found out about Basil was, I kind of remember this pretty clearly, is
Did you fork in? Well, did you fork in your dirty fighting wise or whatever?
No, that's an instinct. That's an instinct.
Okay. All right.
But what we found out about him was like he can look real pretty fighting, or he can hurt people fighting.
Well, that's what I want to know. How do we?
This
see
I
that?
think is look real pretty fighting.
Sure, because you're trying to prove a point, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can't step to me.
So like I think it's like a leg shot on the first guy, like tosses him aside, and then Rooster probably does some cool shit. Like I'm seeing the cinematic.
Yeah, like stabbing that guy who's on the ground with my sword.
Totally.
Now.
Totally. And then like a wide swipe over his head that's like a little too balletic for his own good, and like this nice big like twirling slash that catches a guy in the shoulder and like pushes him aside, and then like blade throat stop.
Okay, so I think of the four of them, there's two that survived that little exchange, or two that aren't wounded, like casualties basically.
Yeah, and I feel like as Basil says stop to the other guy, like Rooster hears it and is about to kill a third guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So maybe
that's where it would have gotten bad, Rooster. That's where.
So we'll cut from there. Like that's where you're like stop, and then we go. Let's go to the woodsman. So where after that awkward exchange, woodsman, where do you end up? Where do we see you next?
I don't know, because I mean I don't know what the lay of the village really is, but like I guess I'm probably interested in like wandering, not just going back to that shed or whatever, but probably
the shed has been compromised.
Yeah, it's like it's like no longer my secret fort, you know. It's like there's like bad vibes going on because
Oh, I know. So would you go looking for a place? Like is that a thing you do? Are you wandering?
I would just be like wandering and observing things going on in the village, just for the sake of doing that, and probably making my way closer towards the castle because I haven't checked in with people in a while, and maybe I need to like restock on some whiskey or something.
Okay, cool.
Which is where I'm lifting it from, by the way.
Yeah, totally. There's enough like brandy and stuff in the castle that you could be siphoning it at the rate that you do, and no one would notice for months. So you'll be fine.
That's the one.
Okay, why don't you make an observation roll as you wander the village on your way to the castle? Okay. It'll just be an open roll, so roll it against obstacle 1. Cool, you got 2. All right. So I think you're like wandering the village, and you walk by one of the houses, maybe this like closest house to the castle, and you notice the nun, the sister that lives in the church, leaving. Like she walks outside and looks around and like pulls the hood of a cape up over her head. Like she's looking pretty suspicious, like hoping that no one will notice her.
Batman.
Yeah. She gets in the Batmobile and drives off. No, she comes out and she pulls her cloak around her because it's cold, but then like pulls her hood up, and she does that thing that people who are like trying not to be followed do, where she like looks around to make sure no one sees her. And you observe her, but she doesn't notice you, at least initially. What do you want to do?
Well, I think since observation is one of my skills, it's the kind of thing I would be interested in pursuing. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep a distance and see if I can follow her. Okay.
All right. Well, why don't you roll your stealthy, and we'll see if you can be stealthy
I also
enough.
have tracking. I don't know if that's relevant.
Yeah. I mean, I think in this case, you're basically like stalking her, right? Like that's your jam. That's what you do. So yeah, you can fork in tracking because you don't have to track her, but this is part of that milieu. So
Okay.
let me
So, what's the obstacle?
it will be an opposed test with her perception.
Wait, to fork something in, I just put it. How do I?
You put it as you click the die and then just set it as a modifier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So the obstacle is you only got to get one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So she won't notice you. You can follow her successfully to wherever it is she's going. So she leaves the house and makes her way towards the castle, but not along the road. She goes along the side of the castle. And as we can see in our cool little picture of the castle itself is up on a hill. So she's kind of like making her way up the side of one of these hills, and she's like breathing hard. She's not a young woman, and it's a steep hill, but she's still trying to be like stealthy. So she's kind of like keeping to the trees, and making her way towards the wall.
So, I mean, I think I would just keep following her because I haven't seen her do anything that would be worth reporting
Okay.
at this point.
All right. So she manages to get up to the castle wall and goes around the back of the castle. And you notice her. She walks up to there's it's all brick and mortar. And she comes up to a brick and like wiggles it and like slides it out. Reaches into her sleeve, takes something out, puts it in the hole where the brick was, and then puts the brick in over top of it. Takes another look around. You manage to like get behind a tree so she doesn't see you, and then starts to make her way back towards the church. So she's heading back to the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm definitely just gonna go check out what that thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go open it up and see what's in it.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, you head over there and pull the pull the brick aside as she did. And if this were Dungeons and Dragons, it'd be a scorpion, and you have to save versus poison. She put a scorpion in a bag, sucker. She got you. But no, it's like a bag of coins. It's money. It's like heavy too.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. I am greedy, and this is one of my traits that I have not played up like at all.
Yeah.
So I think upon realizing it's sort of like a substantial amount of money, I'm not like an outlaw, so I'm probably not going to take the whole thing, but I am going to dip my hand in, grab some coin out, pocket some of it, like no more than like a third of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how big it is, but no more than like a third of it. And then I'm going to put it back in, and I want to set up a stakeout.
Okay.
I just want to go find a place to hide.
I like that you're like, well, I'm gonna steal it, but not like all of it. I'll say this, like, I don't know how familiar is the woodsman with like money, like, you spend time around like nobles, but how well do you know the value of like things? Because like you gotta remember, like we're really used to a money driven economy, right? Where we're like, if you tell me here's $1,000, I will immediately be able to list a number of things that I would like to buy for $1,000. Mm-hmm. But in a less like a pre-capitalist environment, if you like give a peasant a bag of gold and be like, what would you like to buy? They would be like, a fine hat? And you're like, no, you can think bigger. And they're like, the entire kingdom? Like, it's you don't know how much necessarily stuff is worth by default. So I'm curious, like, what the woodsman, like, how your relation with money is.
Okay, so the woodsman is village born, so and then became a servant and entered the nobility, and where after everything went down with the ruler, I was I was in the nobility at that point. So I would say the woodsman has a pretty good sense of like value of the money, because he's probably seen the spectrum of its utility. And the only thing sort of against that is that the woodsman also doesn't have any like realistic wants with money right now. Like, he's greedy inherently, but he's also got the broken man thing going on, and so there's nothing like he wants to do with the money. It's just like sort of an impulse.
Totally. That's like it's a very real thing. Like, I don't know what I would do with this, but I know that money is good and I'm going to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and because I'm a big nerd, I've been like doing like research about all this shit for the game. But like, it's really interesting how the rise of the middle class made money like important, because peasants didn't need money and nobles didn't know or care about money. But then suddenly the middle class was a thing, and they were like, hey, guess what we have? Cash. We can buy things and then do stuff with it. So write down that you have a cash die. You can take enough to give you a bonus on your next resource roll. There should be space for that on the character sheet someplace. Let me take a look.
Is that like gear, possessions, and property?
Yeah. No, it's under stats and skills on the right-hand column under cash. So just put one die, or 1d. So you can use that in place. It's like a usable roll. Oh, and actually on the subject, when we did the resource rolls last time, I just want to make sure, like, Andrew, when you rolled for the rooster, you failed that roll, right?
Yeah, and then I marked the thing, but I saw that.
Yeah, you only mark successful ones. So okay, cool. So you pocket.
Sorry, what's the amount that I'm writing down?
Oh, you use it basically. It's like one die, 1d, because you use it. It's a one-shot use for making resource tests later.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So you get a cash die worth of gold coins, which means the whole bag would be worth like 3, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to set up a stakeout, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think in this case, there's 2 separate things you need to do to make this happen, right? There's the actual like stealthiness of the place that you find to stake it out, and then there's the will that it's going to require to like stay there and watch. So what do you do to prepare? What does this process look like?
So the woodsman sort of retreats into the tree line or what have you, because he's a forester and that's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll probably, if there's like an accessible sort of like low, thick branch in a tree with like a crook that he can sort of just get up off the ground in and just sit there, that is probably what he would try to do. I mean, in terms of waiting around, I think the woodsman has like, I have will, so I don't know what else the process would be.
Okay. Yeah, so you just find a place to hide and tough it out. Okay. So let's roll your stealth. Actually, let's roll your will first, and then roll your stealth, and we'll use the stealthy to be your main roll. So
Okay.
Roll your will against an ob 2. Okay. So you don't you get set up, and it's not even a question about stealth, but like you're fidgeting and like you realize you haven't had a drink in a while, and like you don't fail, but now roll your stealthy, but with 1 less die.
Okay.
So you should be able to put for modifiers -1. And the ob here will also be 2. Okay, so despite your fidgetiness and lack of willpower, you managed to stay hidden until someone comes to pick up the coins. So let's cut back to the logging camp, and we'll jump back to Grouse Shed later, and I'll tell you about what you see. So meanwhile, at the logging camp, you have a pair of dead soldiers, well, I guess a trio of dead soldiers, and one at your proverbial mercy. Agnes, you've recovered from the sudden sharp blow to the face.
Okay.
What does everybody want to do?
I like sheathe my sword and like I motion for Rooster and Agnes to like you know, duh. It's over. No more blood should be
Chill
spilled.
out.
Yeah, exactly. Let me reiterate what I said moments ago. We are all in this together. I respect the sacrifices you made. I even think that because of those sacrifices, you do deserve a meal a little warmer with a bit more spice now and then. But to plunder from these people and assume there is no recourse is foolish.
So while you're giving this speech, it's undertoned by the sobbing of the woman that was in the room. So she's like fallen on the naked guy and is just like weeping.
We will bury the lieutenant, and if you will have it, I would like Rooster to take your command.
Oh.
So I imagine there's a look to Rooster.
Oh, yeah. Rooster?
I'm like wiping my sword off on a guy,
Yeah.
like in some kind of undignified pose.
Uh-huh.
And I just like nod.
What you do here is important. You are more than a tool of the revolution. All of you. But you have to do better than this. Now, has anyone seen a boy named Hugo?
I think that the soldier that you had your sword to moments ago, like looks over, and there's a kid, like he can't be more than like 13, like passed out in a chair nearby, just like with his head back and like just like drool on his face. He's probably got like vomit on his shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think that's Hugo, sir.
I just like slam my short sword into its scabbard and walk over to the kid, and I'm just like dragging him out by his shirt.
Rooster, check him. Is he alive?
I'm like out the door.
Okay.
It's like dragging him.
Right.
Okay.
Rooster.
Agnes, what are you doing during this?
Alright. I'm just waiting for Basil to finish at this point.
No, that's yeah, that's fair. None of this had to happen. None of this had to happen. Bury the dead. I'll be outside, and that's up to Agnes. That's to the other two soldiers. I leave.
Okay. Follow you out.
Is Rooster gone at this point? Is Rooster?
Yeah, I've like at the door. I stopped to just like get him over my shoulders, and then I'm walking back to town with this kid.
Okay. I mean, it's a given, I think, basically, that Rooster can't outrun anybody. So if you ever need to catch up with Rooster, you can just be like, I catch up with you.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we found what we wanted, right?
Yeah. I catch up. I think we catch up with Rooster.
And Rooster's like delivering some diatribe to the kid who is unconscious. Like I'm just ranting about my life to this kid as I'm like tromping.
Like what? Like what about your life?
I think Rooster's just talking about how like your like Basil's plan is just like stupid and how he shouldn't be in charge of the soldiers and like doesn't actually belong with them, like fought for the other army. It's this whole like thing about this place he has found himself in.
Yep. Okay. That's what I want to like. What is it we're hearing as we approach?
Yeah, this is setting the tone. Yeah.
Rooster. Slow down.
Turn and like what?
All right. slow down is probably mean. You're already moving super fast. Just can we? Let me see the kid for a second.
I just like put him down kind of roughly.
Okay.
In the snow. I check him for.
Yeah, like
I
against
don't,
the tree
wait, I
or
don't know that I would know to check him for a pulse. Is he? Does he look? Is his skin flush with blood, or does he look?
I mean, he doesn't look like a corpse. Like you're not
Okay.
you're not carrying a corpse around.
I just
but-
wanted to make sure he hadn't been sitting in that chair dead for the last 2 days.
No, no, we
Okay.
haven't quite reached that level of.
Do we have any? Agnes, Rooster, do you have any water? Do we have any? We have to
I would have some.
Okay. Can we? And I like. Does anyone know how to make him go? Wake him up?
I would know how to do that, having grown up in a fighting pit.
Yeah.
I know
We
how to
can't-
wake up unconscious people.
We can't return him to his mother like this.
So I kind of like smack his face a little bit, splash some water on it, or do the thing where you like get water in your mouth and then like spritz it on him. Yeah,
Mhm.
I do that.
Let's roll for him. Let's see if he wakes up. Rando kid. I'm not even gonna roll. I'm just gonna roll the dice. He doesn't even get a character sheet. Sorry,
Oh,
Hugo.
buddy.
It's a die of fate.
Hugo,
Yeah.
fuck yourself. Yeah, I was
No,
gonna say
Hugo, fuck yourself.
1, 2, 1, 2, or 3. He wakes up. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
he comes. He starts to come to. He's like, no, like tries to push you away.
Hugo.
Just like grab his hand and put it in his lap.
Mm-hmm.
Are you awake, son?
He's more like mumbling.
And I like give him a good little like smack on the cheek, and I'm like, "You answer when he talks to you."
He, yeah. I mean, he's sort of
He's out of it.
semi-conscious, but yeah,
Okay.
he's still really drunk.
At least, Rooster, pour some water over the vomit on his shirt.
I like look around, and it's freezing outside, right?
I
Yeah.
forgot that it's freezing out.
And I
would
just
not-
like nod, but don't do it.
Okay, good. That's good. That's fine.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I want to walk him back. He'll sober up on the way back. This is a
I mean,
mess.
like this is like borderline alcohol poisoning drunk, not like
Oh, okay.
not like I'll be okay drunk. Like he's not just gonna be like, oh, okay, I feel better now. It's like
Okay.
he's
This is the thing. Like, I didn't know if he was. I didn't know like how recently he passed out.
unresponsive.
Okay, then we're carrying him back. Okay. If I had understood that, that would have gone.
And like as I'm hoisting him onto my shoulder, I'm just like, "If you puke on me, you're not making it back to the village."
Good. Yeah,
Um,
I think we're just heading back.
And then like with him on my shoulder, I turn to Basil, and I'm just like, "Basil, I do not understand this plan of yours. Like, I'm not one of them.
That's why it's important you're there.
I fought for the other fucking side, Basil. And now
Sides
I'm
are
not a
mess.
soldier anymore. There's nowhere left for me to go. I'm just," and I like have like still bloody hands. "I'm just a monster. I'm a dog that you sick on them. You can't. This is not how it's gonna go."
It's gonna be fun.
Do you have any opinion about this decision, Agnes? Because you're right there with them.
No.
Yeah. So what's your reaction? Are you just like, is it frustrated silence, or is it like, I want to know what if we look at Agnes, what do we see?
I mean, I'm just looking at the kid, like, thinking, can't trust me with healing people.
Oh.
Gotta figure something out here.
Oh.
I'm wanting to move on at this point.
No.
Get walking.
And yeah, I think I push Basil harder on this. Like I step
Yeah.
like right up into his face, and I'm just like, "So I'm just here to kill for you, and that's it."
No. This is the point. One, I know I know as well as you do about fighting for the other side. I was born for the other side. I left, I came back and killed them. So let's not get it twisted, says Basil, inventing an idiom
That's right.
centuries
You're
early.
welcome to do so.
Right.
No, there'll be no anachronisms in my game,
Uh,
Too late.
Austin.
two. I'm I've sicked you on my enemies enough times to worry that I do it too often. This is why I want you to not be my lapdog who I can set on my foes and walk away from. If I send you to them, it's so that you can have yours and can continue to develop outside of the shadow of those who were supposedly born greater than you. You're better than those people. You can train them to be better than they are now. Whether you believe that or not, that's true. You've seen a harder life than they've ever known, colder winters than this, and this will make you both, them and you, better. I think.
Really makes it a strong point when you add "I think" to the end.
You know.
No, and I think Rooster like literally shoves you, like he grabs your like chest shirt and just like shoves you back. So you'll even take my past from me. You just join the other side like it was nothing. That's all I have, Basil.
What other side? There's no more. They're done. There aren't those sides anymore, Rooster. Those sides existed in your past. I'm not taking those away from you. In the same way that no one can take away my birth from me. But if you keep clinging to those as if they still exist, you will be a relic. And whatever accomplishments you might have, whatever ladder you might climb out of the gutter you were born into, and you have been climbing, you'll just leap back there for some loyalty for what? For what?
Guys, the kid is dying.
And somewhere in some distant city, a pigeon takes a shit on the statue of the rooster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
perfect.
And I'm just like, without even looking at Agnes, I just like hand her this kid. I'm like, you're probably better off with him than I am.
I sling him over my shoulders and walk to the town.
And then I go like punch a tree a bunch, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, like Rooster just like he's not equipped to deal with this problem of like who he had like of needing to like be a different person than what he has been for the past 30 years and what he has been told is like all that he is capable of being. Yep. Like in the slave army, the "be all you can be" motto like worked a little differently. It was this is all that you
be all we tell you to be.
Yeah.
You're already all that you can be.
And so like Basil is trying to empower him, but he's fighting against like 30 years of
for me this is like very much I'm trying to play a Basil as like the kind of dark side of the Enlightenment of like, oh, we're all rational human beings. We can all just will ourselves into power, obviously. Like, nah, that doesn't work that way exactly. But Basil is literally born perfectly into the privilege that makes him think that if I could move to the woods and do it, anybody could. So
one word, Rooster: bootstraps. Find them. Pull yourself up.
Pull yourself up.
Yeah,
I'll give you the
actually,
bootstraps.
I think maybe Rooster wants to have this conversation with Basil, and so like I go and like punch a tree really hard, and then I just like turn and look at you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you may think that going and living in the woods for a couple of years makes you hard. It's not like that for everyone.
I understand that my circumstances are different than yours. I understand. I can't know. I understand that too. But
yeah, go shave your beard, asshole.
Oh.
So do you? I mean, I feel like there's something serious at stake here, like a battle of ideology. So, I mean, what do you both want out of this conversation? I guess is the question. This is a thing that I think that like often both in general and in role-playing games that people don't think about necessarily. That they're like, why is my character having this argument? Like, what are you trying to do?
People in real life often don't think about what they're actually arguing about. But what Rooster's trying to get at here is that Basil has this like incredibly naive view about how like people's social positioning like works in the world, as if like, oh well, Rooster can just like take this by the horns and it's gonna be fine, and like people will respect him because of reasons. Like there's a big gap in the logic there. Right. So Rooster's just like, no one's ever gonna respect me because I am like a slave, and then I'm a child murdering asshole, and then now I'm the guy who like killed their boss, and like his hands still covered in their blood is supposed to be taking over. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Basil's so for me, Basil's The interior life of Basil that maybe he doesn't have access to is like, okay, so the thing that he thinks he's doing is look at this kid, Rooster. He is like, whether he knows it or not, like he is in a position of great opportunity, and I'm gonna help drag him out of the muck. But what's really happening, I think, in Basil's heart of hearts, is that he is trying to like push Rooster away a little bit and get him out of like this immediate zone, because he realizes that I can't talk this guy into a better position.
Sure.
And if he's gonna get there, it has to happen away from me, or otherwise
Very convenient that you're divorcing yourself from needing to be in a position to help me after
Right.
a society that
That's exactly it. It's like because if you stay near me and I see that you can't do it, then it's clear that my shit is wrong, right? But if I push you into the woods,
if you fail on your own merits, it's your
Yeah,
problem.
it's your own
it's
fault.
your fault. Or no, it's not that it's your own fault. I think Basil would still say like, oh, we all have hard times, we all have challenges, but it's explicitly not the fault of like I'm getting rid of the
Basil
best
specifically.
case scenario so that I can always like shrug and say, well, if things were different, if you had stuck around me, maybe it would have worked out. He's like,
So
that's his.
it
deep
sounds
heart truth.
it sounds to me like, I don't know, maybe you're both using ugly truth, but Rooster, it sounds like you're definitely being like, no, this is how it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess based on that, like it didn't feel to me like there was any like, you weren't speechifying to him, but you weren't also trying to
No, this is
persuade him.
persuasion. You don't think this is persuasion?
I mean, you're not trying to get him to
Like, so the actual talk that I think he's having is like, you're good enough. Like, you can do it. I
Yeah.
believe in
Okay,
you.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Basil was trying to convince me of some intrinsic worth that I
Yes.
supposedly have.
Or not
Okay.
even just intrinsic. It's. I don't think it is intrinsic. I think it's.
Or yeah, exactly.
It's like you lived a hard life. Those
Okay.
fuckers didn't, etc.
So why don't you two roll those opposed?
good. I'm learning persuasion. So how
Yeah, I
does
mean,
that
you're both.
learning
Yeah,
ugly
neither of
truth.
you have the skill
Oh.
you need.
Awesome.
What's ugly truth based off of?
Will.
Will.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna be so good at ugly truth once it comes online. It's good. This is
Yeah.
good.
So, ugly truth and persuade, you can both roll. Since they're both beginner's luck, we would double the ob for both of you. But so we'll just flatten it out. It doesn't matter.
Sounds good.
And I can't fork anything or whatever.
Neither
so
of you
just
can
roll it.
fork anything. You're just gonna roll the base stat.
Okay.
However, Agnes can help one or the other of you. So while they're having this argument, yeah, do you say anything in favor of either of them?
No, I'm not there anymore.
Or are you just like
you just
found
fuck
the
off.
actual problem?
I'm carrying the guy to the
Oh,
town.
that's rad.
I'm left immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, Agnes is objective oriented.
Yeah.
So I'm already learning persuasion. So should I just click the dice next to that, or should I actually?
It'll
this
double the obstacle if you do that.
Okay.
So
But we can
just
just ignore the obstacle essentially.
Just ignore the obstacle. Yeah. Just
Okay.
you can just click whatever you prefer.
Sounds good.
Oh, boom.
Holy shit!
Look at that.
Boom! Boom! All right.
Boom.
She.
Double boom.
So there's no. I guess
Oh, I
there's,
could.
there's no outcome, right? Neither of you get what you want.
Do I want to
I'm going to
spend
break
this
the
last?
tie.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you?
I think that I have a number of traits that are relevant in this one.
Okay.
The main one being I have the broken trait.
Hmm.
So actually, Austin is at -2 obstacle to convince me of stuff.
Oh.
So actually, yeah, it's not even a tie. He gets a
Okay.
situational +2 because I have broken. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
they can't see the rolls.
Yeah, I switched it over.
Okay.
It was lagging. The video was lagging while we were doing that.
Okay.
So let me
The-
just double check that.
The cruelest time. Yeah. So if you want to, it's what?
Yeah, -1 ob to all intimidation, interrogation, command, seduction tests used against this character. It doesn't include persuade.
Doesn't include.
It doesn't. No.
But
Uh,
could I break the tie in his favor? And
Yeah,
just
I think
say
if you
that?
just want to give him the you
or
wanna
like
give
my
him
instinct, always defer to authority.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a bunch of reasons.
Yeah. If you do that, then I think that's good because then you're also farming it for art.
Yeah.
Because this is not a good idea. I want to be clear. Austin knows this is a bad
Okay.
idea.
Yeah, and like maybe Rooster smells it but can't really articulate why.
Well, and it's
kind
the
of
fact that you're it's like you're not even, you can't even get out of the logical part of the argument. You just lose because you're used to losing.
Right.
Right? Where you're
Yep.
like, you know it's wrong, you know he's telling you a thing that doesn't feel right, but you're like, okay, yep.
But he's smarter than me, and like he knows better.
Yeah,
and-
he's better than you, which is ironic because he's trying
Yes,
to
it's
convince
so
you.
ironic.
Yeah.
Like the goal here is eventually for Rooster to be like, no, fuck you. Like, I do know better for myself. But Basil can't even. Oh, it's so
the best
good. I
you
love
the
it
best
so
you get is
much.
a yes, sir. I am better than I think I am, sir. Whatever you say.
Yeah, whatever
You're
you
right.
say.
You are wrong.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. So
That's fucked up.
that happens, and back at
Meanwhile.
Graustadt, and then I think what we'll do after this. Actually, let's grab a break, and when we get back, I'll tell you who picks up the coins, and then we can jump forward to when you're all back together again.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm like, no, we gotta play more, but take a break.
Gotta
We'll
play
come back in a minute, and we'll pick up where we left off. So stick around.
Sounds
We'll be
good.
back.